can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
ESBR Boxing, joined by Ra Hokum. We're on final prediction mode for another of the fights happening on the Leewood Anthony Kakache undercard. This one at welterweight between Owen Cooper and Chris Kongo. Cooper is 10-1. Chris Kongo 17-2. Kongo, obviously the bigger name, having been in there with the likes of Florian Marku before. His only defeats the McKinson and Esserman. But yeah, interesting fight here. Final predictions, as I mentioned, and we'll come to you first, as the guest, as the boxing aficionado that you are. Please take it away and tell me what your final prediction is for Owen Cooper, Chris Kongo.
Yes, it's another great fight. I'm hearing the word crossroads a lot these days, which doesn't really seem appropriate, but especially for Owen Cooper, a guy who's lost one fight and he's only 24 years old. I think that, yeah, I mean, Cooper, that one defeat he's had against Esserman. Remember, Esserman at one point was ranked, what, 3 in the world with the IBF? He was essentially one win away from maybe becoming the mandatory for Boots Ennis. Maybe Harry Scarf did him a favour by beating him in that sense. But nevertheless, Esserman's a very good fight at British level. So there's no shame in losing to him, especially the way Cooper lost, making it so competitive and running Esserman really close. As for Kongo, as you said, the bigger name, I think a lot more seasoned, but at 32 has never really been able to sort of push on. It's found it really difficult to get those big fights, like a lot of welterweights in this country are finding. It should be noted. A couple of defeats he's had, he obviously ran Esserman closer than Cooper in the sense that it was a narrow points and controversial points decision. But he's come back with that signature win last year against Marku, and then since then hasn't been able to get the big fights. But credit to him, he's kept himself active, appearing on these is it Riyadh season weigh-in shows, 2 6-rounders. Hey, listen, I don't fault a guy for staying active when you can't get a big fight. Having spoke to Chris numerous times, I know that he is willing to be patient. He knows the nature of this game. Because of that and the seasoning he's shown against guys like Esserman, I think that he will get the job done again on points. Like I said, he's been patient, waited another year to get a TV slot. So I think he'll have far too much know-how for Cooper. And I think he'll do it in his usual fashion on points.
Yep, very interesting, very interesting. I am going to agree with you. This is the third. We've done 3 final prediction videos for the undercard fights on this bill, so please do go check them out. We were in agreement. In the Taylor and Jones fight, we were in disagreement. Liam Davis and Kurt Walker, and we are agreeing here, mate. I think that, yeah, everything that you've said there, I can't really add much more. Again, if Cooper loses, it's no disgrace. Yeah, you could say that it doesn't look good back-to-back defeats, but if that is to happen, he's only 24. Maybe just go back down a level, start picking up wins again, get your confidence back, whatever. Then come again in another year, 18 months time or whatever, up at this level. Whenever maybe he's more ready for that step up. I think there's actually quite a big size difference here as well. With Chris Kongo, obviously quite a big welterweight, can't be easy for him making the weight. I don't mind him keeping active as well. If he's not going to get these big fights, he may as well stay in the gym, stay ready in case the call does come. So getting those 6-rounders, yeah. And I'm sure he got weighed in as well. So yeah, I can't disagree with what you've said. Big win against Marku. I thought that was going to happen. I've never really rated Florian Marku. A lot of people thought he would maybe have stopped Chris Kongo, but it was a good performance. Would have liked to see him kick on already since then. Suppose this is a step up from his last 2 opponents, but compared to the Florian Marku, where do you have it? People, you maybe say that Owen Cooper would outbox Florian Marku, but you never really know. It's a completely different style. We didn't really know how good Marku actually was either. I do agree. I think there's only one winner here for me, Chris Kongo. And similarly to what you've said there, I think there's only one. Obviously, obviously there's not only one method of victory. Like that's not true, but in the sense of I believe this goes the distance as well. I can't see anything other than a unanimous decision in favor of Chris Kongo. I think that's just kind of what he does, as you mentioned. I don't find it boring remotely. It's good to watch. I think it's not one of them where you're he's going the distance again. I know some people we're always looking for blood, guts, knockouts, and what have you. But yeah, when it's jukeboxing display, from Chris Kongo here, and hopefully, should he win this, there are bigger fights for him, down the line. Because as you said, I mean, on that welterweight, it could be interesting, on that world scene, in the next not so distant future, if he's to reach that level. Obviously, we've got Esserman, with one of his former opponents, is in there with Josh Taylor, depending on what happens there. If Esserman's to maybe lose, does a rematch between Kongo and Esserman make sense? I don't know, but there's still some domestically good fights out there. The European scene, sometimes the European scene can be fairly weak. Is that an opportunity that he'll try and exploit? So yeah, I think first and foremost he does have to beat. He does have to beat Owen Cooper. I don't disagree with what you've said, and I believe he does get the job done on points. One quick question, Rob, before we round off, similar to what I asked you in one of the other videos. With Chris Kongo, where do you see his career going? If you're looking into your crystal ball, say another couple of years down the line, what do you feel like Chris Kongo could have achieved?
Well, as I said, there are so many good fighters at welterweight who can't seem to get fights. There's his former foe McKinson, for example, who's forever bemoaning on Twitter about his lack of opportunities. There's Harry Scarf, who's going to find it very hard to get a fight again. I mean, a lot of these guys, they're very hard fights, but with not much opportunities, to make it worthwhile for them. I think a lot will depend on what Boots Ennis does with his two world title belts. If Boots Ennis vacates and moves up to 154, it will open up the whole division, because Boots Ennis is like a quantum leap above everyone. No one wants to fight him, but now he's got two belts. He leaves two belts open at the top level. It will get things moving, and then that'll have a knock-on effect further down. But Chris, unfortunately, he's not a great ticket seller. He does. I feel for him. He does what he can to try and get his name out there, much like McKinson. But there just ain't the opportunities. There's a long queue even for Conor Walker's British title. Guys like Konstantin Ursu, who's fighting later in the month. He's next in line. So I don't know. I think if a promoter's willing to sign him up, he might have to go down that international route. I can't see him getting any big fights in the UK, even in the next year, unless again he steps in as a late notice opponent for someone.
Yep. Unfortunately, yeah, I agree. I can't really add much more again to that. I think you've made some good points. Just hope that sooner rather than later, Boots makes his mind up. As you said, has that knock-on effect down to the European, to the British level. And yeah, we'd see these fights, whether or not it is a British title. As you mentioned, it might be difficult to get that with Conor Walker, as you said as well. Like Harry Scarf, after how he lost to Conor Walker, who's going to want to fight him? Yeah, you're completely right. He's the king of the Who Needs Him club now. Would make you look silly. If he managed to not get caught like he did against Walker. But yeah, that's a story for another video. First and foremost, Chris Kongo does have to get through Owen Cooper, of course, May 10th. Lee Wood, Anthony Kakache, undercard in Nottingham. It's a great card, one I'm looking forward to. Plenty of 50-50 fights, or if not 50-50s, fairly close ones anyway. And yeah, Ra, I appreciate your time, as always, mate. Please do check out the rest of the channel, guys. All of your boxing needs under one roof. Hit that subscribe button. And let us know in the comments what you thought of what Ra and I had to say there. Ra, thanks for joining me. Speak to you again soon.